Welcome to another episode of Living with FASD, Candid Conversations with Patti Kasper. This podcast is for those who are living with the effects of prenatal exposure to alcohol, their loved ones, and anyone else wanting to learn more about fetal alcohol spectrum disorders. Each week, you'll hear from someone whose expertise is either professional or living experience with FASD. I'm your host, Patti Kasper, bringing you both. Now let's get started with another candid conversation. Welcome to another episode of Living with FASD, Candid Conversations with Patti Kasper. I'm your host. This week on episode 88, I can't believe it, I welcome to the mic Dr. Sandra Love, who is a beloved daughter of Ms. Jodee Kulp, who's a frequent guest and also my BFF. So Sandra is going to bring us a really, really interesting conversation today about her mission and purpose, which is just, it's divinely inspired. And I know not everyone who watches or listens is a believer, but regardless of your relationship with the Creator and how you see that, how much or how little that plays a role in your life, we are spiritual beings on one level or another. And oftentimes, as in so many other aspects of life, we tend to get in our own way. And so Dr. Love's going to help us to not do that anymore. And that should reinvigorate our walk through life and give us peace and strength as we navigate life with fetal alcohol spectrum disorders, either as someone living with it or supporting someone, whether it's a spouse or a child or a client. So welcome, Sandra, to the mic and to the Living with FASD podcast. I'm so glad you could join us today.
I'm honored to be here. I'm an ex-atheist, so I have a lot of compassion for anyone that's not a believer, that have been hurt by churchianity. So no judgment here, no condemnation. I'm here to add value on a practical way, on the practical axis, and also anything that we can do in our blind spots and the invisible as well. So anything I can do to add value is what I'm here to talk about today.
Yeah, churchianity. I've never heard that before, but it is so true. Betrayal by people who are hurting you in the name of their religious beliefs hurts more than any other betrayal.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's because we put our expectation or emphasis on creation more than creator. And so we're expecting creation to be more healthy and mature than where they really actually are. Yeah. I think kind of set ourselves up. At least I can say that I set myself up to be deeply hurt when I didn't laser focus, keep looking up to the one that is the limitless, flawless, timeless one, and stop expecting creation to provide something for me that only Creator could provide. So I have a lot of respect and honor for anyone wherever they are in their journey and their walk, believer, non-believer. Love, joy, and peace is my portion to share with everyone.
Yeah. Your mom, she tickles me when she says, "Yeah, my daughter got another download." She cracks me up with that.
I'm her special needs baby.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know about neurodivergency until really recently, and I've been studying psychology since 1998. It's like now becoming something that if I've never been tested, but I'm sure I qualify. I've never been tested for ADHD or any of those other letters, but I'm sure if they assessed me, I would qualify to be in that category of the spectrum at some level.
Well, given the fact that your mom says she collects neurodivergent people, wouldn't surprise me. Yeah. So, I mean, we just tend to attract one another because there's that feeling of safety.
Yeah.
If we get each other, we're not going to condemn each other. as the world does.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so tell me a little bit about your journey. You know, you already said you're a former atheist. What has your walk through life been? I know your doctorate degree is fairly recent, right?
Yes, it's true. I originally was born in Haiti, Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and I'm one out of 12 kids. My father's name is Joseph. So I have a lot of biblical based things that have happened to my life already. I was born into very humbling beginnings and situations that I'm very grateful for. I really feel like they have molded me to really stay compassionate to people and to stay grateful even in my challenges and overcoming several different mistakes and failures on even my part. I'm grateful for all the times where I built a career and I lost everything. And the third time of finding myself in a position of almost homelessness, the third time I was with two children, it really, really humbled me and sobered me up and really did get me to a place of, man, churchianity can't save me. I'm going to have to really talk straight to the power source and ask what's wrong with me. And when I did ask, okay, what's going on? What he revealed to me, it was not a heart to heart issue because I loved the creator and I know he loved me, but there was something going on with my ability to stay connected to the best. So that's when I got the download of the board game called The Best. And it's on a tic-tac-toe board. It shows you where's the best, where's the worst, where am I? And I love it because it's like Play-Doh, not Monopoly. It's a 7-minute board game. In 7 minutes, you'll be reminded how the best exists. And even though the worst still does exist, that I'm not the worst and I'm not the best. And if I take my heart's cup and I answer some questions that I've created with some neuroscientists and some calls to actions, which we're going to do tonight. The calls to actions are just 5 senses exercises. I call them Yago exercises, which is just using your 5 senses to reset your parasympathetic nervous system. Anyway, in 7 minutes, you're going to take your cup, answer some questions. If you honor the best question, you go towards the best. If you're saying, I'm not going to honor the best questions, you go backwards towards the worst. And what that grid for greatness did for me was it gave me not only standards and boundaries, but clarity on why I was in a cycle of building, losing, growing, going the zigzag pattern. And I didn't understand what was in my blind spot. And so the board game gave me a grid for greatness to help me navigate on helping making better decisions and starting asking better questions until I would humble myself and get asked the best question. Sometimes the best question is, what's the best question? Sometimes that's the best question.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like something that Jodee and I talk a lot about, that's so needed to get anywhere with FASD is insatiable curiosity.
Yes, that's exactly it.
You cannot parent a child with FASD and have any sense of success in that without insatiable curiosity. Instead of that snap to judgment, what'd you do that for? Right? There's obviously a purpose to an attempt to do something, to fix something, to fulfill an expectation that just didn't go right. And so, yeah, it sounds like this game brings that out.
Childlike curiosity is the cure for a lot of anxiety. Getting ourselves to, like you said, ask, seek, and knock on the heart of compassionate solutions and staying solution focused. It really relieves us from having to be perfect and be the best. And again, my game doesn't define what the best is, but what it does is it gives you permission to really accept that I don't have to be perfect. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to know it all. In fact, no one likes to know it all, because at the core, we know no one knows it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is a treasure hunting quest. And with gratitude and with humility, and this is the core value system that I use to guide me back to a peaceful state, as I remember humility, integrity, maturity. Those are my core values. If I was to sum those three words into one word, it's honorable. Giving myself permission to just be reminded that defining my definition of success, which for me, it's loving who I am, loving what I do, loving how it's impacting others,
Mm-hmm.
and that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay that, I have two sons. I have Isaiah and Gabriel. And when
Great names.
they're, yes, they're boys, thank you. And again, when they're going through their journey, I can humble myself and remember I
Mm-hmm.
went through my process. I went through my journey. Their
Yeah.
brains not fully developed. As brilliant as they are, they can do Rubik's cubes and they can do all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
But when they make decisions that don't align with what I think or what I feel, I humble myself back into humility's elevator, knowing humility's elevator is automatically going to take me to an integrity train up, and I take my children in a compassionate way where I understand we're in this together. We're a team together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not against you. You're not against me. Let's start asking and seeking compassionate questions to get clarity.
Thinking about it in the context of any relationship. So often marriages fail when it becomes problems in between
Mm-hmm.
spouses instead of spouses together on one side against the world or the world's expectations or circumstances or whatever. Problems on the other side.
Yes,
And any relationship.
it is. It's
Yeah.
a that's what I love about principles. It doesn't discriminate when it comes to age or financial status. Um, it applies to everyone. We're all humbled by the truth. We're all humbled by perfect love that casts things out, that casts out fear. And so I agree, whether it's a business partnership relationship, a spousal romantic relationship, a parental relationship,
Mm-hmm.
principles apply, and they're helpful because it's no longer I'm picking on you, you're picking on me. We just pulled up a random card that neuroscientists came up because they understood the brain can be in survivor mode,
Mm-hmm.
whether we went through trauma or we had a traumatic moment today. It's nice to have some neutral now zone questions that ask questions like, okay, what's the conversation that we're avoiding that could help us get to our next level towards
Yeah.
the best?
Yeah.
See, that's the question the brain won't naturally ask because it can be in defense
Well, who likes
mode.
to be uncomfortable?
Right.
So do you have a physical copy of the board game handy? Can you show it to us?
This is the board game. I call it the
Okay.
greatness. The best is on the right side, and then
Uh-huh.
the is on the left side. You take your little cup in the middle. I call it the neutral now zone.
Okay.
There's a stack of question cards, there's calls to actions here. And
Okay.
based on if you honor the questions, you get inside humility's elevator. If you refuse to honor the best question, it goes towards ego's elevator. Ego's elevator is avoiding the best questions and the best calls to actions. If
Okay.
you lift yourself up, you're as high as you can go. So guess what's coming next? The next card will take you to a complaint train if you keep rejecting and neglecting the best. And
Yeah.
eventually it takes you to a dead end. It's a
Yeah.
7 game. Each card, you get 1 minute to answer per card.
Okay.
If you can answer the card within less than 1 minute, you can do affirmations to fill up the rest of that 1 minute with I am, I choose, I love statements.
Okay.
Those statements is going to fill up your cup with precious stones. These are precious stones for your red, yellow, and green light.
Okay.
I am, I choose, I love statements is what not only make sure that you feel good by the time you get to the best,
Mm-hmm.
you have something to share with others. A lot of
Okay.
people are functioning from an empty cup. They're
Yeah.
trying to pour out, and there's nothing in there left.
Yeah. And
So it,
that speaks to every caregiver, I think. One of my favorite memes is we never let our batteries get this low, and it's a picture of like a double A or a triple A battery, and there's just that little bit of red showing at the bottom. That's it. And it's like, so why would we do that to ourselves? And then it's a drawing of a girl, right? I mean, this like that on a bathroom door symbol. That girl with not wearing red socks, basically. And how often do we neglect our own cup? Like going back to the airline training, you got to put your mask on before you can help your child or whoever's sitting next to you, because you can't help if you're passed out.
absolutely. Yeah, I really believe that for anything to be built with sustained success, you have to build it from the inside out
Mm-hmm.
so that it has the integrity to endure challenges that weren't seen, that's in our blind spots, and pressure points. And that's the definition of integrity for an engineer. I have a son that's going to be a robotics engineer, and it's based on how much pressure can this building endure before it collapses. That's the integrity level.
Yeah.
And so it's important that we define these core values, we define what success is, we define when we get clear on our identity and we remind ourselves who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Remember the Lion King? Remember who you are, Simba.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to end up eating worms.
Because that really defines how we see ourselves and how we see our place in the world.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
that ties into so many of the other conversations I've had on this show about, for instance, do we see ourselves as disabled?
Mm.
I don't know. Some of us will accept that for very different reasons than others say hex to the no, right? I can do anything, but reality is all of us have strengths. All of us have challenges and blind spots, right? Our challenges so often seem to come out of nowhere, and other people in our lives will say, yeah, we saw that coming, because they don't see the blind spots that we have. It's just life is messy, and
Yes.
and I love that. I'm kind of in awe about how you got that, how you came up with that, because it really does come back to
Mm-hmm.
core stuff that shapes how we interact with ourselves, with others, with the world, with events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to hit a target when you don't define what it is or where it is.
Yeah.
It makes life more difficult. And so one thing that helps me is defining there's outer court hand level, inner court head space level, and then there's the heartfulness. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
there's the heart. And when I can say, okay, at my hand level, it is not the best. Okay, like even my best is insufficient funds, and being okay with that, knowing that I'm going towards the best
Mm-hmm.
is reassuring my nervous system. It's okay that maybe I'm not at the surface level, hand level, outer court level, the best. But there is a place in my heart, which remember, everything I do is built from the inside out, that I can find rest and knowing that the best exists and that the best is in love with me. I've played this game with a 3-year-old. I've played this game with war heroes in their 70s and their 80s. And the principle is the same. It's really not designed for you to lose. It's designed to remind you that it's okay that we keep asking and seeking and knocking on each other's hearts to gain clarity. Each question that's honorable guides us and leads us to not only a clearer focus. Questions control our focus, but it will guide us and lead us towards the best. Just knowing that the best exists, knowing the best is in love with you, to me, that just helps my heart.
Tell me about the responses that you've gotten from the little ones, from the vets with PTSD and whatever else going on. Your mom's been bragging about what a wonderful impact this has had. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Okay, so it's been on the spectrum of responses, but I've seen better responses when I allow people to go through their process. I had this one very high up military guy. He lost this is a 7-minute game. He lost the game in 3 minutes, and he was very upset with me. He used a lot of bad words and hung up my face.
So this is a game really of introspection. How do you lose it?
You lose it by rejecting questions that get you to face the facts and face your feelings. And so after he hung up on me, he called me like maybe an hour or so later. He said he never apologized to this day. He's a very high, powerful military guy. He said, I could see maybe why I'm not allowed to see my grandkids, and my wife won't let me touch her anymore.
Oh,
but what it made him do,
that's a powerful statement.
It made him stop and realize I wasn't bullying him with these questions. These were random cards. I wasn't picking the cards. So, and I told him we could pick other cards, but every time you neglect or reject the best questions in 5 senses exercises, and he rejected all of them, every single one. In 3 minutes, he lost. But what he realized was what his occupation for work, which is yelling and commanding at people, it worked for his career. But when it came
to his personal life,
when it came to heart connection, that's going to require humility, integrity, and maturity. And you can't be the boss all the time. Yeah. It's going to have to be a heart-to-heart connection if you want heart-to-heart communication if you want a heart-to-heart connection. So one of the things that I share with people, a quality life is what everyone's craving, but the quality life is based on quality relationships. Quality relationship is built on quality communication. And guess what controls quality communication? Core values. Asking the best questions so we can get clarity on our core values. That's literally what's controlling what's happening on the inside of each individual. So he did get a wake-up call on that day. He's been doing better.
So you have stayed in contact with him?
Oh, absolutely. That's
awesome.
Absolutely. And it's funny because he ended up not only playing again, but he wanted to customize and create his own board game. And he came up with the name of the board game, because that's the phase 3 of the board game. The first game is really just you one-on-one, facing and fixing your facts, okay? I'm not even playing with you. You're just pulling out the cards and you're answering it. The second round of the game, it opens up, looks like Battleship. You have your own table. I have my own table. And now we're taking turns. You are the guest and I'm the host. We switch it the next game. You're the host. I'm the guest. So we practice being in authority and under authority. We're honoring one another and leadership. We're honoring one another and servanthood. And that's the balance.
And practicing vulnerability.
You get it. You understand it.
Yeah. So I'm so curious. Was the development of this part of your PhD?
No. I ended up doing my dissertation on honorable communication. after this game. No, this game came out of a very terrible tragedy. And my biological mom went to heaven in 2021. I didn't expect that to happen. And my husband at the time broke up with me via text message. And so I was shocked by that. He told me that he's not an alpha male or a beta male. He's a sigma male, and he's a lone wolf, and he doesn't want to be married anymore. And so it took me to really cry out, okay, this is a pattern now. Okay. I'm the common denominator in all my dysfunctional relationships. And that's when I had this vision. And it was not my heart that was the problem, even though my heart kept getting broken. It was my standards. Why was it that I kept attracting very narcissistic, toxic, heartless people that would use me, rob me, and then leave me? As soon as they would get what they wanted, they would leave me. And so you know, you have to start asking better questions when you start to see a consistent pattern.
Yeah.
You know, one time, okay, maybe that's an accident. 2 times, maybe that's something that
I can learn from.
3 times, we have to. I call Yago.
We got a problem.
Yeah, I'm the common denominator at that point, right?
Yeah.
So I started seeing the 2 therapists for the first time in my life, and had to deal with some issues that happened to me as a child that I was avoiding. I was so busy doing business, making money, and you know, I've been on my own.
That's how we avoid that kind of pain.
That's it.
We can bury it in addictive substances or behaviors,
right?
Or we can just avoid it. Yeah.
Yep. So that's where the game came from. Really crying out, asking for clarity, asking for strategy, asking for solutions, which I never did that before. You know, I thought if I just continued to pay my tithe and my taxes and obeyed people, that someone would eventually love me. But I was doing it backwards. I was trying to earn love when love isn't earned. Love is discerned. Love is inhaled and exhaled. Love is the breath of life. It's not earned. You don't work for it. And it took me over 40 years around the mountain of the wilderness finally start asking better questions. And thank God I had some neuroscientist friends and some 2 great therapists that I was seeing. I want to make sure if I'm going to see a therapist, I want to make sure that I go and get it from different perspectives. So I went to see a Christian and a non-Christian therapist because I wanted to make sure that I really seen what was in my blind spot. And truly, I had a lot of, I call them dirty pebbles. The gray pebbles in here, they're dirty pebbles. I had a lot of dirty pebbles in my cup that I was trying to pretend weren't there. And so that's where the game came from. It was clearly a simple vision. It was a download, like Mama AAA would say, oh, you got another download.
AKA Jodee Kulp.
Yeah.
So give me one of these questions.
Oh, sure. Okay, let's see here. Okay. Here's one. What has you doing what you're doing? What has you doing what you're doing? See how neutral it is?
Yeah. And that is that is something that you can answer on several levels depending on how honest you want to be, right? And what your perspective is. You know, I would say for the podcast, it's and as well as writing the book and you know everything that it's not to get rich, let me tell you, people, and your mom will testify to this too. We are not making money from our books.
Not yet. I'm hoping to help with that.
Right? Yes, amen. So I mean, let's get real. It's $7 or $10 a pop in terms of royalties.
Right.
Unless you're James Patterson, it's not going to happen. And oh my goodness, can you imagine what God's royalties would be? Because the Bible is the single most purchased book that has ever been printed.
True story.
And for reals, I mean, for thousands of years before we had printing presses, do you happen to know, Sandra, how much it cost for a hand done copy of the Torah scrolls?
No, how much?
2 years of a scribe's salary, because that's how long it took to
Whoa.
produce the scrolls.
Whoa, what sacrifice. That's very valuable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Which is why they were only in the synagogues.
Wow. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So everyone memorized Torah.
Sure.
Yeah. Mamas taught scripture through
Mhm.
song or canting, right? And that's because we remember more through music, right? Even now, I remember I can sing along songs that I heard back in the 60s.
Yeah.
You know, can I remember many of the lectures in grad school?
No.
Yeah. But anyway,
You're
so
gonna get quantum physics. Don't you start up with me. Don't you start up with me.
right? And that's like,
Remember that versus lectures. Well,
yeah.
first of all, singing a song, I don't want to go too deep, but they're spiritual ladders. Words are doors that take you somewhere. That's why truth is so important to
Yeah.
fix our facts and heal our facts.
Yeah.
But worship or music is now you're dealing with your vibration, you're dealing with your energy, you're dealing with your rhythm,
And
your
your whole
heartbeat.
being.
Yes, and that goes past the brain. And all of my work is getting people out of their brain and back into love, back into their heart, which is where their supernatural powers are, where focus can be rebuilt and reset just through a simple, repetitive exercise like breathing, stretching, massaging. So
Yeah.
it's all connected, it's all tied together. But absolutely, humming and gargling, those things will reset your parasympathetic nervous system. If you're going through any type of panic attack, there's just so many simple things that our bodies are hungry for, they're thirsty for, to reconnect back to the breath of life. And that's what the calls to action cards are. They get you to use your five senses, your eye gate, ear gate, mouth gate, skin gate, nose gate, without zero drugs. You don't need anything. I designed the game where if you were a prisoner, like the Apostle Paul, you could pull out my game and you could just start using your five senses to breathe, stretch, and massage and to reset you. And like Apostle Paul did, he would sing, and he would worship, and it would take them. It would worship raptures you. Worship takes you out of your brain and takes you back into your imagination station, which is your heart. I call it the core. And it takes you to a place where no one could ever still, kill, or destroy, which is your heart.
Yeah, and there's power in that. I mean, I'm thinking about the Old Testament tale of Jericho. Marching around that city 7 times, singing, and what happened upon the completion of that 7 round? The walls fell. There's that. It is about vibration and power. And there's a lot of new age stuff that takes that in a whole nother direction. So, where there's good, there's counterfeit as well. So we have to be careful of that.
Anchor in the perfect love that casts out fear, casts out anything that's not honorable. That's why, again, I always bring it back to the breath of life, the perfect love, things that bring you back to compassionate creator or creative state, where we can say, listen, whatever they're doing, whatever they're saying, all I know is Psalms 1 says, meditate on the truth day and night. And there's so many scriptures that talks about the breath of life that he breathed into Adam's nostrils and made him as a living soul. And we can lose our soul. And the first thing that goes away when you're going through a panic attack is your breath. So going back to the breath, which is where I consider it my compassionate creator, giving ourselves permission, breathe.
Yeah.
Breathe.
So is your game available at this point?
Oh, absolutely. It's been available since 2022. Mama Jodee Kulp and I designed it in 4 months. She's a genius.
She really is. Yeah, she really is. So people can get it at Amazon?
You can get it at sandrainlove.com. SANDRANLOVE.com.
Okay.
Yep. My website is my name. And so you just go there and you'll see purchase now the best game.
Okay. All right. Awesome. And I think Jodee was saying that that's actually the second thing, and that the first part of your three-part projects is your book, which is now in review status with Amazon, about to be published. Woo! So by the time, everybody, by the time you watch this or listen to it, you're going to be able to go to Amazon and order her book. So tell us about your book, Sandra.
So Yago is Yeshua going first. We're allowing the one that loves us the best, the only one that I've ever read in any of the books, even when I was an atheist, that died for us and resurrected for us. His name is Yeshua. I sometimes call him Jesus, Jizzy, because I sometimes speak Creole French. So it's not about the semantics, but it's about acknowledging and admitting that the best has resurrection love and is the breath of life, and that we can go back to him. And so Yago is Yeshua going first. We're choosing to look up into the hills, which cometh our help. And so through breathing, stretching, and massaging our lymphatic drainage system, our vagus nerve, we get to experience and tap into his presence as much or as little as we like, but we have full access through the breath.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So for those that don't know, Yeshua is Hebrew for salvation, which, goes hand in hand with everything that you've been talking about throughout this candid conversation. And I can't wait to, I'm going to order a copy, of course, for my family. But my goddaughter is she's been going through some challenging times. She's coming to visit in July, right after my upcoming surgery, and so she will help nurse me through, because I don't know how much good I'm going to be caring for my mama. So she's just going to come, and hopefully she will devour the book on the plane back home afterward.
It's a short book. It's a short read.
Yeah, that's what your mom's been saying, like 100 pages of powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And then what's the third? The third is an app. Is that
Yes.
right?
It's called OMG, Optimizing My Greatness.
Oh, I love that.
So just like another download, the Lord told me, Sandra, I'm going to optimize my greatness to whomsoever is willing to humble themselves and get into my heart. I'm going to lift them up. And I'm going to train them up in the way they should go. Goes back to the game. Humility's elevator takes you to integrity training, takes you to the best rest. And the best rest is just, is a position of mature.
Hang on for me 1 second. Okay, so you were telling me about optimize my greatness. And who among us doesn't want to do that, right?
Optimizing my greatness is so amazing because it's just giving yourself permission to treasure hunt your greatness.
Okay.
Not about you being perfect. It's about you just enjoying the journey of getting into your neutral now zone, which is what you sit on the throne of. You can't control the past. You can't even control the future. You can influence the future.
Yeah.
By partnering with it, but you have to humble yourself to get into that place. And so Optimizing My Greatness is just a safe place. It's going to be an online community where people that are heartful, that are just looking for a safe place to be. You don't have to do in the OMG app. You can just be. There's going to be games at the entry level, just fun, medicinal, light 7-minute games. Okay. And then the next level is going to be train up. You see the little train? Doot, doot.
Mm-hmm.
And just, if you want to go a little bit in self-certification mode, you want to develop yourself, you want more than just fun, you can go to the train up level in the app. And then, of course, where we're trying to take people is to create a community of honorable people, people of humility, integrity, and maturity. It's becoming more challenging to find honorable people that we don't want what's in your hand. We're not trying to even drain your brain. We're just trying to find a safe place where we can be a human being. We can honor one another.
You know, something about what you just said really picked a thread that was teased out a little bit for me, you know, maybe 15, 20 minutes ago. People so often today want to share their truth, right? This is my truth. Well, no, truth is truth. I have a perspective.
Yes, thank you.
I have a perspective. I do not truth.
Mm-hmm.
And my truth would never step on your truth's toes because truth is truth. My perspective might clash with your perspective,
Right.
and that's okay.
That's okay.
Truth doesn't change. Truth is truth.
And you know, and that's why it's so important. The OMG app is online journaling. That's the level 2 of it. It's online journaling, and you can find different partners to play the board game and journal with. So we can get clarity on each other's core values and core standards. I used to put on unity festivals together in my city, and I'm going to probably do another one. And one thing that we agreed upon, we may never agree at the hand level is strawberry jelly is better than grape jelly. Okay. But one thing we could come together annually at our core community festival was faith, hope, and love. We all crave more faith, hope, and love. And maybe you have a mustard seed level of faith, and I may have even a smaller level than mustard seed level of faith. And somebody may have a boulder of faith. It's not about competition, but honoring one another. And that's the name of the movement of these 3 pieces that I've been working on, is honoring the vertical axis first, looking up, locking eyes with the best, asking, seeking, and knocking on the heart of the best, attaining a more high perspective that goes beyond my limited logical understanding, right? Proverbs 3:5, acknowledging him, humility, integrity, maturity, to direct my path. Yeah. See, that's where honorable communication, honorable connection lives, is when we acknowledge and admit the horizontal axis. No one's perfect down here. We're all wrapped in dirt, just in case if anyone didn't know. We're all a limited time offer. Like
from dirt we came, and from dirt we will return, but the spirit does live on. You know, I think there's so many things in our conversation today. I'm thinking a lot of people in the audience are like, oh, that's so above where I am, and I can't possibly, and oh, I don't understand. Whatever's trying to block what you have for everybody. But there's also so much there that to me resonates. You know, so being neurodivergent, we've been misunderstood and frequently maligned. You know, people with FASD we can set our sights on any goal. We can go after any goal. We can get there, but through a less common route and with support. But in the meantime, we've heard a lot of, you're not going to blah, 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 blah. You know, amount to much, you know, who do you think you are? Blah, 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 blah. And these 3 things that have been created through you really challenge that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I would encourage people to just pick these tools up and see if they work for them. You know, we're all different. We're all created differently, uniquely. That's a scripture that I cling to, is that I was fearfully and wonderfully made.
Mm.
Alcohol exposure and all.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we're not less than. We're not imperfect. Well, we're all imperfect, right? But we're not we're not to be discarded because of our differentness.
It's okay. Just
Yeah,
knowing that at the core, at the heart of the matter,
yeah.
where it really counts eternally and internally, when we're alone,
Mm-hmm.
we're beautifully, wonderfully loved.
Yeah,
We're
which is
chosen, and we're being invited to places that are beyond what we can think, ask, or imagine.
yeah.
And one of the things that I love about the downloads that I get, it's not about mindfulness. It's not about you intellectualizing what I just said to you. It's about you feeling it.
Amen.
You should be able to feel this presence, this breath
Yeah,
of life,
yeah.
this brilliant love that goes beyond the intellect, beyond the brain. It's
Mm-hmm.
heartfulness, not mindfulness. I have too many things in my mind.
Yeah,
I need a place where I can come into a state of rest, where
yeah,
there's restoration, there's zero judgment, there's no condemnation in this place. So
yeah.
all the games, they're like 7 minutes. It's
Mm-hmm.
played, not Monopoly. There's not a lot of rules. You
Yeah,
just answer questions. If you don't want to answer, you go backwards towards the end. So in 7 minutes, wherever you end up, it's okay.
yeah,
It's not about
yeah.
perfection, it's about enjoying the progress. It's about enjoy the treasure hunting. Get the precious stones.
Mm-hmm.
Ask some questions that your heart, your childlike state is curious to. You didn't even know that you didn't ask that question, and that it could take you to a new place, into deeper love. And that's one thing that I'm grateful for, is everything that I've been given has been just a gift that I can give to others, to get them not only in love, but to show them you can stay in love. There's hope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Stay in love.
Yeah. I think that this is just a medicinal balm that our society definitely needs these days, but particularly those of us who have had this yoke upon us of, the effects of prenatal alcohol exposure or whatever other neurodiversities we have as well. You know, I thank you so much for coming on tonight and sharing these gifts. And it's definitely a different kind of episode, but I love it. And I hope that the audience does too. And I'm going to celebrate the publishing of your book, the launch that is soon coming.
And I can say, growing up with so many siblings, very brilliant, powerful, beautiful siblings, um, from my teachers to my siblings to my neighbors, they all told me that I was the R word. They said there's something wrong with you. That's
Mm-hmm.
all I heard all my life. I did not even know I was intelligent until my 30s. I did not know. I honestly thought there was something wrong with me. Everyone told me there's something wrong with me. Even when I was in the car business, making six figures at BMW, I was the one, even at Toyota, I was the one that was getting the drug test, because everyone thought I was on drugs. I've never even smoked marijuana or anything in my life. I used to have a alcohol addiction, but never drugs. But because when you're different, you stand out like salt and light.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't know what to do with what's either different or unknown to them.
Yeah.
So they will either call you names, put you in a box, or dismiss you.
Yeah.
And I can relate to that my entire life. That's why I was so busy trying to earn love, because everyone told me I was retarded. Everyone told me there was something wrong with me. Everyone told me I was weird. So if anyone gave me a compliment, I'm like, well, I guess I should just fight for this dysfunctional relationship because I'm not worthy of the best. I'm not worthy of love. And so it took me a couple of times to really stop and breathe and really start asking better questions and get the most high perspective on me from the heart level to this is the first time in my life I love me. I've never been able to say that before.
And isn't that something that all of humanity strives for?
Built for it.
Yeah. All right, now I have a super easy question for you.
Okay.
And with that, we'll close. What's your favorite Toyota?
Oh, I have owned and bought so many Avalons. I bought one for my mom.
Oh, I got two.
I love those Avalons. I'd be driving one right now if my boss at BMW didn't rebuke me. He was like, "You're so cheap. Why are you driving an Avalon?" First of all, the Avalon is cool. It's paid off. I have no problems with it. That's the only reason why I'm not driving one right now. My own boss.
Wait till I tell Jodee she's going to die. Another thing in common.
Wonderful. They're wonderful.
All right. With that, I'm going to bid you adieu for now. And thank you again for coming on Living with FASD. You are such a treasure.
I love you.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Living with FASD, Candid Conversations with Patti Kasper. Feel free to send comments, questions, and topics you'd like to learn more about, hear more about, to me at livingwithfasdpodcast@gmail.com. Please remember to like, follow, and share this podcast on whatever platform you use so that more people can find the podcast. Have a blessed week, everyone, and tune in next Monday for another candid conversation on Living with FASD.